Excellent.
Record button. There we
yes,
go.
and we are now recording as well. So good morning, everyone. Today, in the next hour, what we are going to review is customer service management fulfiller training. The agenda for the next hour is really twofold. The first is we're going to go over ServiceNow basics. So navigating the system, how to get to places, how to, a couple tips and tricks. And then we will get into the customer service management portion of it. We'll review what the form looks like, and then we'll do a demo end to end of creation to close of a case. After that, I'll show everybody how to spawn a work order from a case and how to spawn an incident from a case. So, ServiceNow basics. We've got a few terms that are standard within the platform, and you might hear me say these, so I want to make sure that I define them up front for you. So you have consumers and customers when we're talking about customer service management. A consumer for you guys would be a friends and family person, and then a customer would be a facilities. And it's hard to not say customer twice, but friends and family is a consumer, and then facilities is a customer. An account is a supported facilities customer. An account can have multiple contacts assigned to it. Now, an agent is a customer service person doing something on the platform. So an agent is kind of a standard term for the person who's actually doing the work. And then the case is the primary ticket type. So the case is what you're creating when a consumer or a customer contacts you and they need to report something. So first up is the user interface. Now it's fun to look at a PowerPoint, but it's actually better to go into the system. So you guys will have this. What I'm going to do is go into your test environment and actually show this to you live. So I am going to share the system. So as you can see, I am now logged in. And what I'm going to do is allow the ability for me to toggle. I'm going to share my screen. And now I can toggle between. So when we look at the user interface, there's the banner frame, the application navigator on the left, and the content frame. And we can see that here. Here's the application navigator, here's the banner frame up at the top, and then here's the content frame. So the first thing that you guys are probably going to do is you're going to be working off of lists. So lists and forms are kind of your bread and butter for working within the application. So let's see. So let's say I want to look at cases, and I don't know what I'm searching for, so I'm just going to pull everything. So what you see in front of you is what we call a list view. So as you can see, these are lists of cases. So this is a list view of the case table. So it's one table. Now a form, if I click on this one case, it takes me to what we call a form. And forms are used to display information from the record in the table. So depending on your permissions, you can create, edit, and view these different records. So for everyone here, you will be able to see and create and edit cases. I can click the back button, and it takes me back to this main page. So over here in the application navigator, you have applications and then modules. So for us, customer service is an application, and then you have different modules here. So just to, again, terminology, and as you scroll down, you can see other modules depending on your permissions. So one thing that's nice about this left-hand navigation is you can hide it. So if you want more space, you can unhide it, and you can also favorite things. So for me, I know I'm going to be working with cases a lot. So I am going to click this little star here. I'm going to click mine. I'm going to click, gosh, my cases. So when I do that, the star now is filled out, and I can go to this tab, the star tab, and you can see that these are now favorites for me. So no matter where I am, I can click on these and it'll take me there. So I can go to something completely different, like field service. Let me see. I'll go to work order, right? I can go to something completely different. And then I can go to my favorites, click on it, and it'll take me directly back to these. And obviously, it'll tell you no records. I don't have any cases assigned to me, but I have a create new here. Another thing that's nice about your favorites is that you can click this little edit button here, and you can just create different, you can choose an icon, you can create a different color, click done. You can change this to, so just say my group's cases. Click done. And then what's nice about that is when it's minimized, if you remember what it is, like you can go directly to it every time. So it's just a nice little shortcut. That's the word I was looking. It's a nice little shortcut you can create for yourself. This third tab here in the application navigator is a history. So this is a short history, and it just allows you to go back. Let's say you were looking at something yesterday and you're like, darn it, oh gosh, I don't remember what it was. You can go to this history tab and say, okay, what was it? All right, 12 hours ago, okay, I think it was this. And you click on it and it just takes you to whatever that was, whatever you were working on. Here you go, work orders. So again, it's a nice way to quickly get to something if you can't remember, if it wasn't favorited. So if you were looking at a specific record, you could go here if you couldn't remember what it was. All right, so let's go back to the list view. So again, we're looking at just all cases here. There's a lot of things that you can do within this list view that we'll walk through. So the first is that you can manipulate the order that these are in by clicking on any one of the column headers, and it'll just sort it in ascending or descending, and you can do it by any one of these columns just by clicking on it. Now, if you want to adjust what columns you see, you can click on this gear icon and you can choose what you want to see. So additional comments, I don't care about that. The, description, I want that to be second. Maybe it's going a little slow. But you can manipulate where these display, and you can say, you know what, I need to know whether it's active or not. And then you just click it over and then you can move it up or around. So I'll put that right after number. You click OK. And it takes a second, and now you see the column here. And you know that you have personalized your list when you see that little dot that's on the gear icon. So let's say, you know what, I don't want this anymore. You just go here, click OK. And the other thing you can do is reset to column defaults. If you make a lot of changes and then you don't need those changes anymore, that's just a nice thing to click on. Another thing that you can do is if you right-click on a column, you can see a couple other things that it allows you to do. One thing that's nice is you can export to Excel. So if you need to create a report, you can export this list view to Excel. And then it's literally just giving you what is here. So it doesn't give you any of the details within each record. It's just exporting what you see on the screen right here. So let's say now I've pulled up all cases. Let's say, you know what, I really need to find some specific cases. I can click on this filter, and this filter allows me to do a search within the view that I have chosen. So let's say, you know what, I need, you know, any case where the assigned to is, and I'm going to pick on, let's see, Jordan. So let's say I'm going to pick on Jordan Core. I need to find any case that is assigned to Jordan, and my guess is we probably won't have any. And let's say the customer, let's say the contact, I'm going to say Randall because we see him right there, so we know that'll fire. And what you're seeing here is this is pulling up a table view, and I can search within that table. If I go star Randall, it's going to give me, it's a wildcard search, and it's going to give me all Randalls. So I am going to pick Deputy Randall, and I'm going to remove this because I know that's not going to bring up anything. So let's say I'm looking for a case where the contact is Deputy Randall. Let's say he called in and it wasn't mine and I'm trying to find it. I click the Run button, boom, and here are all cases where the contact is Deputy Randall. You can see this case is closed. And let's say that I want to save this query. Okay, just checking. All right, so let's say I want to save this query. This is, you know, let's say it has more, it probably will have more information. All I need to do is I hover over this and I drag and I drop it into my favorites. And now I've got this query saved. And then I can go and I can edit it and I can say, all right, just say something like Deputy Randall cases. And it's just for him, so I'm going to pick a different icon, click Done, and now I've created a filter for myself and I've saved it to my favorites. One thing that is also nice is that these are dynamic, they're not static. So if tomorrow Deputy Randall has a new case opened for him and I go to this tomorrow, we will see two cases listed, this closed one and then whatever the new one is. So that's one thing that's nice. Now going back to the list view, again looking at just all open cases, you also have the ability to edit within the list. And again, this is depending on permissions. And obviously you don't, you know, you want to use this with caution. But let's say this first one, it was identified as channel phone. And so you can see here, security prevents writing to this field. So it'll let you know when you can or can't change a field from this view. So let's see if I can change the consumer, right? So I see, gosh, this case doesn't have a consumer tied to it, but I know I need to add one. So I can open the form and I can add the consumer here, or without opening the form, I can double click here and then I can search, and we'll just say Joby customer. And then I click enter. And now Joby customer is saved. So let's say I've done a query and I know Joby customer, these first 3 cases are for Joby customer. So I can click on the first, then I hold the shift arrow down, just like you do in Excel, and I select these other 2. I double click and now it says 3 rows will be updated. Click on the little arrow and boom, now Joby customer is assigned as the consumer for these 3 cases. And if I click on the record, you can see that he's been added. What's nice is I've pulled up this form. There's this little arrow here. This just takes me to the next record in the list view that I have pulled up on the previous screen. It's like it didn't save here. Let me go back. Yeah, there it is. So we've got a little different form, which is why it's not displaying. So now I can also go back and say, okay, this is not what I needed to do. Oops. So now I'm going to remove it. I just click that red X. I think it's just being a little slow to react, but it'll delete those. Sometimes when you're in a test environment. There we go. All right, I'll follow up with that. Didn't work, but the that's how you would do that, is you'd click here and it should delete it. Let's see. Yeah, that's working. All right. Now if we go in, you can see the consumer is gone. So again, little tips and tricks. A final tip and trick about list view that I'll show you is you've got this additional action items menu here. It can also be called a hamburger menu. If you click on that, there are some other things you can do. One thing that's really nice is this group by. So what you see here is that you can group your list view by any of the columns, by any of the attributes that are actually on the table. So let's say I want to group by action status. Takes a minute, and then we can see you've got empty, and then there's 2 action statuses, blocked internally or needs attention. So it's just nice to be able to sort this in different ways. And again, anything that you see here, you can drag and save as a favorite, and then you delete your favorites just by clicking on that button. So we've gone through at this point lists, list view, list filters, forms, personalization. You've looked at how you can do a little bit of sorting and filtering. Now let's actually look at a form. So what you see in front of you right now is generally it's a form. What we're looking at is an actual case form. And one thing generally about forms within the ServiceNow platform is they follow a standard format. And that standard format is that there's 3 basic parts to any form. You have the general ticket information at the top here. So these are all sort of the details around who, what, where, when. You've got the ticket number, the contacts, the accounts, the description of the issue, and then some information around open, the state of it, the type, friends and family versus facilities. So again, general information about who the ticket is for, when it was opened, who's working on it now. And then as you scroll down, what you start to see is details that are laid out in that same list view or in tabular format of information that's related specifically to this case or this customer. So as you can see, we have some special handling notes. These notes are specific to either this customer or this account. And so some might have several, as you see here, and some might not have any. And I think you guys are familiar with special handling notes from your previous system as well. As you scroll down, you can see more of the ticket details. So we have notes right here, closure information. This tab you'll fill out when you are going to close a case. Related records, so if the case is related to an incident, a problem, or a change, that can be added here. Notes is where you, as the person owning a case, will write work notes in here. Additional comments, this field is where you would write a comment that you would want to send to the customer. So it's helpful, it says customer visible here and then customer visible here, so you know that you are communicating with the customer. That comment is sent to the customer on the portal. You see this little icon here. If you click on it, it just hides. So if you ever see a case that looks like this or a form that looks like this, just click on that and it'll show both. Or you can click on work notes and it'll show just work notes. But I'll click on it so we can see both. In this activity log, you're going to see system activities, so things that are done automatically, like these emails are automatically sent. So in a case, you can see them here. And you can also see work that's done by other people. So you can see a couple of days ago, I assigned this case to Amy, and this is showing you that on the 29th, I opened this case. And you can see I can type in and then question to customer. So I can post those. And then you can see here, the question to the customer is in a dark gray, and then the work note, so something I specifically wrote, is in yellow here. So it's easy to see questions that go to customers, things that someone types in are yellow, and then the light gray are automatic notes the system is creating. And you can see it's when an email is sent, or if I do something on the case, it captures that I did it in the timestamp of when I did it, and it displays it in the activity log here. As we scroll down to the form, what you have at the bottom of the form are related links. So these are all things that you can click to. Now this is going to be different depending on what your permissions are. So my permissions in the system allow me to create and do a few other things. As managers, you might have more access to related links. As an agent working a case, you might not be able to create special handling notes, so that might not display for you. As we scroll down to the bottom here, so this is different tabs that are providing you more information about the case itself. So you can see SLA. This is just showing you the SLA for this type of case. There's nothing you need to do here. It just is displaying it and it's showing in progress. Tasks would be if you're creating a task for a case, you would create one here. Emails. So we saw emails up above in the activity log. You can also see emails here below. And then related links, you have problems, work orders, incidents. We saw those also up here in related records. You can add them down here. Related cases. If there's another case that you want to relate, you can click add here. And I'll go ahead and check the chat just to make, alrighty. Looks good. Okay, so that's a basic form and all of the components of a basic form. Now, what we're going to do is actually create a new case. So just to show you where we are in the deck, we have gone through all of the components of general navigation. Oops. So we've gone through all of the components of general navigation, and now we're going to go into customer service management. So we're going to walk through case creation to resolution. So I'll just show you in the slide here, you've got written down how to actually do this, because I know when you see something for the first time, it might appear that I'm going really quickly. So I just want to assure you that we've got these steps written down for you, so you will be able to have something you can reference back to. All right, so I'm just showing you all of this information we've got listed out step by step. So I'm going to flip back to the platform and I'm going to say, okay, you know what? I need to create a new case. So I can go here and I can go to facilities and click create new, or I know I'm creating cases all the time, so I already saved this as a favorite. I can just click on my favorite link and boom, takes me to an empty form. So one thing to note, these red asterisks are mandatory, and you can see there's hover over text to help you, so you know what is mandatory. And then when I choose it, so let's say Joby customer, when I select a value, it goes dark. So the field value, it goes from red to black. So it's a mandatory field, but I've filled something out. But I am going to skip consumer. I want to create a facilities case. So I'm going to go to my case type, and I'm going to say, I know this is a facilities case. So I'm going to select facilities as my case type. Now you'll see what happens is that that consumer field goes away because that's only relevant for a friends and family case. So this is why we saw a little bit of that Joby customer earlier when I assigned a consumer, but we didn't see it because it wasn't the correct case type. So facilities, we're going to go back to facilities, and I am going to select an account. So let's say Canyon County ID. Who did I speak to? Let's see. I spoke to Gail. So I've got Gail, I've got my account, product. So what is this for? So we're going to say it's a kiosk issue. Now, one thing that's nice is that you can see I'm clicking on this lookup icon and it's taking me to the table where I can search and I can select. And again, just to show you again, I can also go star kiosk. Like, oh, I know it's a kiosk. What are the kiosks? Okay, here's all the kiosk values. I can click on it and it'll take me to that. I can choose a category. I'm going to say, no power. Short description. Now I'm going to choose an assignment group. I'll choose ServiceNow Contact Center. So as of this point, I have entered all of the required fields up top. I'm going to scroll down. You can see that when I entered in the short description, the platform automatically searches through your knowledge base and tries to identify any knowledge articles that may help resolve the case. So that's what you're seeing here. I'm going to just hide those. Special handling, there's none. There's no notes. So at this point, what I'm going to do is click on Submit. And I'm just making a quick note. This is 14331 is the case number, and you can see this is auto-generated, the opened and state is auto-generated. So right now the case is in state new. I am going to click Submit. So at this point, I've done the minimum that I need to do to create a case and have it assigned to that customer. Now, oh my goodness, I've clicked Submit. How do I go back to this? Because now I actually need to assign it to somebody. So I can do a couple of things. I can go to my history here and I can say, what was that? Boom, I can click on that. And that is just takes me to a new record. Alrighty. So it doesn't recognize the case. Good to know. All right. So what I can do is I'm going to go to cases. I'm going to go to all open cases. And then I'm going to click on number because I know I opened a case just now, so it's got to be one of the first numbers. And here it is right now. Gail Howell, excuse me. So I'm going to click on that. Here's my case. So the case is now in open state, so it's in new, then when I submit it, it moves to open. And now let's work this case. Let me assign this to somebody. So I am going to pick on Jordan. I don't know if Jordan is on the phone. So let's say I'm going to assign this to Jordan. I'm going to click Save. And now this is assigned to Jordan. So at this point, Jordan would just work the case. So maybe he, that the kiosk is plugged in, right? And let's say then is not plugged in. So something to that effect. So I know this is now good to close. So the other thing I could do is say, add an additional comment and send it to the portal. Post that, and then this is sent to Gail via the portal. But I made a note here that we had a phone conversation. So now I am going to close this. So just make some resolution notes. Now, as an admin, I have the ability to fill these in, but normally the system will auto-populate that. So Kiosk was plugged in, working fine. I am going to now click the Resolve button. Now, let's go back and find that case. It should, cases, all right. So it's not going to go there. So I'm going to go to cases, and I can scroll down here and I can say all cases, all open, my resolved cases. So this wasn't assigned to me. So if I click on that, it's going to be empty. So I'm just going to go back to all cases and I'm going to search. So we see it right here, but I can search by any one of these. If I go 14331 and click enter, it'll give me just this case. So now what you can see is it's in the state of resolved, but it needs attention. Now the reason it needs attention, and we see this, I'm going to go back just so you can see this action status is blue because I sent a customer comment out and it hasn't been responded to yet. So now it's in needs attention. So this will go away and this will be unchecked, and that'll happen automatically when Gail responds to my question that I had sent her in the note here, which is right down here. And you can see since I clicked resolve, you've got these other email notifications like that are sent out, and you can see who they're sent to. And again, if we scroll down to the emails, you can see there were 10 emails being sent out, and you can see some are related to the SLA. But again, there's no action you need to take, but it just shows you what emails are being sent out so you're aware if you want to look them up. So at this point, you would wait for Gail to send a response back and it would close. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go in now as Gail and we're going to see if we can get a if we can move this out of needs attention. Oh, and that is not going to work. Okay. So I will have to close out. Let me stop sharing and I will log back in here. All right. So what I was going to try and show you, but the Okta I don't have access, so I can't log in when I get that screen, is I would have showed you Gail responding to the message. Then what happens is the case moves out of the needs attention awaiting info, and you see in the work note that Gail has responded. So it's just a nice little way to be aware of things that you're waiting on. And we are at 9:43. Okay, so that is a very quick and dirty end to end. You might have more or less, work notes or communication with customer in your process as you're working on a case, depending on what the case is. And we've got 15 minutes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to show you how to create a work order and how to create an incident from a case, and then I'll open it up to questions. So let's say the case that we were working on for Gail and that was 14331. Here it is. So let's say that didn't actually work, and we actually need to send someone out to review what's going on with this kiosk. I can click on this additional actions menu, and then I can click Create Work Order. Now you can see this is the work order form, and it's been pre-filled out because it's pulled information from the existing case. So you can see we already know the account, it's Gail, the kiosk, etc. Short description, and the rest of the form is the work form. And as we noted earlier, this is following the same 1, 2, 3 sections, but it's blank now because it's now if that's all I need to do, I am going to I can click Update, or I can click Ready for Qualification. If this looks good and I know that this is ready to go into the dispatch group for assignment, and you can see the dispatch group was automatically populated based on the information that it pulled over from the case. I'm just going to click Ready for Qualification. Boom, and now it's been sent to the dispatch group to work and to assign someone to it. So I am going to close out of that. I'm going to go back, and you can see now I'm just back at the regular case. The other thing that I can do, so now if you click on this again, you see I can't create another work order because a work order was already created. So now that action is gone. You can only create one work order per case. Then the other thing that I wanted to show you is how to create an incident from a case. So let's go back. I'm going to create a new case. I'm going to have this be a friends and family. So let's see, let's say we have inmate dad, and I had a chat with him, and he identified something that, let's say it's an incident, and let's say it's an incident at Payette County. And let's say it's the visitation T-phone station. Let's say it's all phones down. I will, and obviously I'm just kind of randomly, I'll click the contact center. I'm going to click submit. I think that was 14333. Boom, here we are. So now I've got this case, and you know what? I need to create an incident. So as you can see here, we've got the ability to create incidents, changes, problems. Here's work order again. Since I hadn't created one, I'm able to create one now, but you know what? I'm going to create an incident. So you click on that, and then just like we saw with the work order, it loads the incident record with all of the information that we have from the case. And then the rest of this is the incident record, so it's blank because it's the incident record now, not the case record. So these will be filled out as this incident is worked. Let's say, okay, I know who it needs to be assigned to. We're going to assign it to Celso Escobar. All right, good to go. I click Update, click OK, and now the incident was created and I'm taken back to the case form. So that's it. It's short and sweet to create a case or an incident. And what I am going to do now is, Nancy, I'm going to open it for questions. And if there's anything you want me to go over again or demo again, let me know. And I'll turn on my video again too.
Thank you, Tony. For the team, just one quick point of clarification. So when the contact center is creating the work order, they only need to create the work order in draft. So they would only ever click submit, and then they can, you know, proverbially wash their hands of it at that point. At that point, service dispatch, you know, whether that's Eric or Mandy or Laura, will be picking it up from that point. So just a quick clarification there. Most folks won't have the qualified button, so that won't be an issue, but wanted to call that piece out. And then turn it back to the crowd.
Sure.
Hello, Tony. This is Carla.
Hi, Carla.
Hi. Could you go back to the beginning when you did, like, how you labeled your favorites?
Sure.
It was a real quick, and I have my favorites, but how you did it, you were able to change the name on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've got the 3 tabs, all applications, the star is favorites. So you go to favorites, you scroll down to this little, and you don't scroll, you just click on this little edit favorites, this pencil. And what it does is it will just pick the first one. So it's on create new, let's say Deputy Randall. So I click on Deputy Randall, it takes me to Deputy Randall. And I want him to have the little smiley guy face, and let's say I want it green. So I click on those 2 things, looks good, then I click done. And what it does is it takes me back to whatever was in this content section, but you can see it updated this. And again, I can delete him just by clicking that little delete.
So if you had, this is Victor Miranda, so if you had multiple things for Deputy Randall in different cases, could you add those to that one favorites?
So the way to do that, so it's not a folder, it's a link to the list view of that table. So let's say you're working with Deputy Randall, the only way would be if you're creating a filter. So let's say you want cases that are Deputy Randall's, and let's say you're working with him on some historical issue, so you have a date range. So maybe it's assigned to Deputy Randall and it's a certain date range. That would be a filter. So yeah, every favorite you see here is one filter. So it's not like a folder like in your email where you have an inbox and then you can put a bunch of different stuff in your inbox. It doesn't work like that.
Thank you.
This is John Romeo. I had a quick question on the needs attention feature.
Yeah.
You knew on that ticket that needed attention that it was because the customer didn't respond. And I probably have issues we could take offline maybe with Nancy just to see if we want that feature to be disabled once a ticket is completed, so that it wouldn't say needs attention, or is that something the user can unclick the needs attention button if you're reviewing it?
Yeah.
Determine
Yes.
that, okay. Oh, you can unclick that button.
Let me see if this. Yeah, this one is closed. Sorry. Let me find. If people could close just so we don't have an echo. Let me find one that's open. All right, we'll do action status here.
And then the second part was, does it tell you why it needs attention? Or do you have to pretty much go through it and pick it up?
Yeah, so unfortunately it doesn't tell you. What I did provide in the PowerPoint is the definitions list, and it's actually pretty short. So the good news is that here we go. The action status summary. I'll show this to you guys. So really there's just two action statuses. There's the blocked internally and there's the needs attention. So as you saw within the platform, that needs attention little checkbox is checked. You can uncheck it. And what it means is that either the customer has responded or an associated record had information updated. So it's kind of a bucket term that just means, hey, there's something new about this case. Take a look at it. And then to our point here, I can click this and say, oh, this needs attention. I'm going to click it. I'm leaving and, let's say I have to leave early. I've been working this ticket and something's just come up, but I can't respond to it. I'm going to click needs attention so that it's at least in that view. And then you could say, you know what? Looked at this, okay, no, this does not need attention. You can click it or unclick it. And if I click it, let's make sure it's 7755, and I click save. Uh-oh. Let's just add in a bunch of stuff here. All right, so I've clicked this button, click save. You can see needs attention, and this is 7755. So let's refresh. It should refresh. But yeah, so you can see here, now it needs attention. It wasn't earlier, and then I can unclick it. And then, oops, save. Yeah, but you can see, yes. So as an agent, you are able to identify if something needs attention and remove it from needs attention.
Thank you.
We will make sure that we get all of those definitions in the documentation as to what exactly will cause that button to appear.
Okay, this is Ken.
Hi, Ken.
I have a question. Is this going to get covered tracking if, say, like a field service manager wants to track a ticket and be updated on it? Is this covered under this module, or is this a different module possibly?
So
We have that session later today, I believe, around how field service managers, directors, account owners, would muck around the system, if you will.
Okay, good. Yeah,
but and the other thing too is, let's say you have a specific case where you're like, I've got to know what's going on. You can add yourself to the work notes list. So I clicked on that, and what it allows you to do is add yourself to specific cases, and then you will get a notification whenever the work note gets updated. So whenever anything changes about this case, you'll get a notification. So that's one thing you can do.
Okay, perfect. Bridget just wrote me in when I get out of control here. Sorry.
So yeah, we've got about 2 minutes left. I guess Nancy and Bridget, if going through the deck again, if there's anything additional you want me to add to it or tweak, let me know. And I'm happy to do that before I send out the final version. Any other questions?
This is Ken again. Sorry. I want to go back towards the beginning when you mentioned black color code was for customer notes.
Oh yeah.
So what exactly, how do you control, I mean, it seemed like the system automatically puts something to them via the portal as well. How do we control what we do not want them to see?
So the only thing the customer, so the customer doesn't see work notes, they don't see this activity log, they will get information from you when you directly type to them.
Okay, I thought that there was part of the discussion that if something got put into the work notes, that somehow or another it was populating to the customer as well. I just wanted to.
Yeah, so the work note is internal only. So the work note is only seen by the people internally who have access to work these cases. The additional comments field, this field right here, this is a question that you would populate that you want sent to the customer via the portal.
I think the question maybe, Tony, is on a work order or on an incident. If there is an update put in the work order or incident, you did talk about how that will automatically update the case as well, right?
Oh, okay. So yeah, clarification. So when you spawn an incident or a work note from a case, we saw some of these fields get automatically populated. But like if we look at incidents, you can see this is the one we created. If you scroll down to notes, the customer only sees information about the incident, again, based on additional comments that you type in here.
Okay, so anything that is color coded black is only what the customer sees then. Is that correct?
No, it's the only thing that they see are the additional comments that are sent to them. So yeah, it's like a darker gray, like here. I'll post that and then we can see. So yeah, you've got the light gray are the like system automatically creates them. This darker gray is the customer visible comment. And then the yellow is internal only.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry it took so long for me to get there. Yeah, so these are the three different colors that you'll see.
And just one more clarification question. Back to what John was speaking of on the needs attention. It sounded like that could be manipulated or controlled by taking it off if there was some additional remarks. My question was going to be similar, was if a customer doesn't call back in, but yet, or doesn't update the portal per se to answer the question, but he or she was spoken to, we could remove the needs attention and just put the remarks and close at that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm good. No more questions. Oh, actually, I take that back. I'm sorry. All right. So on work orders, there's only one work order that could be done. on a case. So let's say that a work order is completed, can you open up a second work order then? Is that how that would work if we needed multiple on the same?
If you needed multiple, you know what? Let me test that and come back to you.
I think that'd be more for Eric, but it's a question that came to my mind. So
Mine too, Ken.
Yeah. Okay, that one, I'm not sure off the top of my head. So I will follow up with Nancy and Bridget separately and get that out to you. And that's a comment. Once I get the answer to that, I'll add that as a bullet point in the deck as well.
okay.
Just so it's documented.
No more questions.
So I actually have one more.
Sure.
We went over work orders, incidents, and cases. We didn't go over work order tasks. I presume that's by design.
Yes.
Yeah, so this hour was just to talk about cases. We will have a separate session just to talk about work orders and go into detail about work order cases. So yes, this was just to show you that you can spawn a work order from a case.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You got it. All right. Give it another beat here if there's any other question. All right.
Tony, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very, very good session. And we will follow up with you with additional questions that may come in.
Yeah, absolutely. Email them to me and then I'll wait a little bit. I'll wait until the end of this week so that any of those questions, I'll document them in the fulfiller guide so that we have them listed.
Perfect.
All right. I will stop recording now